My daughter and I stayed at my parents' house, and when we returned, I heard noises coming from the family car. Clearly, something was hiding inside. When I quietly peeked in, a shocking scene unfolded. My husband was in the middle of it with a young woman, both completely naked. Their clothes were discarded nearby. The woman pulled my husband's head closer and said, "Doing it in the family car is so wicked." I felt like our family memories were being tainted. I even knew that woman. "Mom, what's wrong?" My daughter tried to peek into the car. I quickly stopped her, saying, "Shoo. Don't look." Because of that, it seemed like the two of them noticed our presence. "Oh no, it's my wife and daughter. We need to hide." "What? Already back?" They tumbled down under the seat and covered themselves with a blanket meant for warmth. I casually opened the front door and said loudly, "I thought I heard someone, but maybe it was just my imagination." I heard them sigh in relief. Then I cheerfully said to my daughter, "It seems like Daddy's not here today either, so how about we go to the amusement park, just the two of us?" "Yay!" This time, I heard a small gasp from the two hiding. Without paying them any mind, I sat in the driver's seat, put my excited daughter in the passenger seat, and started driving. The fact that the two were desperately trying to stay quiet was too funny. I made sure they could hear me as I said to my daughter, "Should we invite Grandpa and Grandma too?" With the soundless screams of the two in tow, we headed to my in-laws' house. My name is Mia. I live with my husband, Daniel, who is the same age as me, and our 6-year-old daughter, Ellie. We both work, and Ellie usually goes to daycare. Daniel respected my wish to continue working even after getting married and having a child. Ellie never complained about our arrangement and enjoyed her time at daycare. One happy day, Daniel came home with his shoulders slumped. His face looked cornered and pale, and he seemed reluctant to say anything. Ellie, as usual, clung to him, saying, "Daddy, welcome back. Let's play," but he didn't seem to have the energy for it. "What's wrong? Are you okay? I made your favorite hamburgers today." After I asked him several times, Daniel finally opened his mouth heavily. "The thing is, I got fired from my job." "What?" "I made a huge mistake at work. I'm sorry, Mia, Ellie." Daniel squeezed out the words, his voice strained. Ellie, not fully understanding her father's predicament, looked worriedly at him. I decided to respond cheerfully to the devastated Daniel. "Oh, is that all?" Daniel's eyes widened in surprise at my unexpected reaction. "What? You're saying that's all? What are you talking about?" "We're a dual-income family. I'll become the breadwinner, and you can be a stay-at-home dad. I may not earn as much as you did, but I make enough working full-time." Problem solved. In times like these, having a dual-income household is a strength. If one can't work, the impact is less severe. But Daniel seemed resistant. "But being supported by my wife, it's a blow to my pride as a man." Come on. These days, there's no difference between men and women in such matters. If you ignore gender, it's just a regular family. Ellie would be happy to have you home more often, right, Ellie? "Yeah, I'd love it if Daddy was always home." Ellie tried to comfort Daniel. "All right, let's eat." "Mia, Ellie, thank you. I'm sorry for the trouble this will cause." "What are you saying? We're family. Helping each other is what family does." And so, I became the breadwinner, and Daniel took on the role of staying home to manage the house and take care of Ellie. At least, that was the plan. However, Ellie started to look sad and said, "Daddy's not home much. He leaves me alone and goes out somewhere." According to Ellie, when she asked Daniel, "Daddy, let's go play somewhere." "I want to go to the amusement park," he would respond with, "Sorry, Ellie. Daddy has things to do. Eat the bread or instant noodles over there." And then he'd leave for hours. As a result, the cooking, which was supposed to be Daniel's job, mostly fell back on me, despite our roles. He often skipped cleaning and forgot to bring in the laundry. The burden shifted not only to me but also to Ellie. She started doing the chores Daniel neglected with her clumsy little hands. This was completely counterproductive. When I confronted Daniel, he said,
"I can't help it. I'm looking for a job. I'm going to job centers and interviews."
"Does it really take that long?"
"I'm applying to many places. I can't keep burdening you, and it's embarrassing as a man to be supported by my wife. I'm doing this for you guys. Please understand."
"But leaving Ellie alone and going out by yourself? At least keep Ellie in daycare like before. And do the chores properly."
"Okay, I'm sorry. I'll do that from now on."
But Daniel's eyes were evasive. I had a gut feeling he was lying. So, I hired a private investigator to follow Daniel's movements. The results came quickly. They were damning. Daniel was having an affair, and the person he was involved with was someone I never expected. I was filled with disgust. To lose his job, be supported by his wife, and then betray her by having an affair with a young woman. Unforgivable. Fortunately, I was the breadwinner. So financial difficulties were not a concern. I decided to get a divorce. But I couldn't find the right timing to bring it up. I was conflicted. Because Ellie adored her father, despite his flaws, and Daniel was affectionate towards her too. Should I really take her father away from her? While I was contemplating this, my parents invited Ellie and me to stay with them over the long holiday. They offered to drive us there and back. Daniel said, "That's a relief. I have a job interview that day and need the car." His excuse was transparent. I knew what he was really up to. I wanted to call him out on his lie, but I also felt a bit relieved. Our family car, which I had bought before getting married, had recently developed a strange smell, mixed with the scent of air fresheners. When I asked Daniel about it, he said with those evasive eyes, "I spilled some food and drinks in the car. That's probably the smell." I cleaned it and used some air freshener. Since discovering Daniel's affair, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was using the car for inappropriate activities. I didn't want to use the car anymore. Additionally, I wanted to distance myself from Daniel and clear my mind. So, I gladly accepted my parents' invitation and took Ellie to stay with them. Even though I suspected Daniel would use the time for his affair. Ellie and I had a wonderful time at my parents' house. They drove us back home, and I told them, "It's okay, Daniel is out right now, so they wouldn't need to come in." I assumed Daniel was out and found out that he really was. But the car was parked in the driveway. Then, I heard noises coming from the car. Clearly, something was hiding inside. I had a bad feeling. When I quietly peeked in, a shocking scene unfolded. Daniel was in the middle of it with a young woman, both completely naked. Their clothes were discarded nearby. The woman pulled Daniel's head closer and said, "Doing it in the family car is so wicked." Something snapped inside me. The car I had worked so hard to buy when I was young. The car we used for family trips. Our cherished memories, it all felt tainted. Although I had suspected it, seeing it with my own eyes was an enormous shock. And in that moment, I felt all my feelings for Daniel as a husband vanish.
"Mom, what's wrong?"
Ellie tried to stand on her tiptoes to peek into the car. I quickly stopped her, saying, "Shh. Don't look." Because of this, it seemed like the two of them noticed our presence.
"Oh no, it's my wife and daughter. We need to hide." "What? Already back?"
They tumbled down under the seat and covered themselves with a blanket meant for warmth. I casually opened the front door and said loudly, "I thought I heard someone, but maybe it was just my imagination." I heard them sigh in relief. Then I cheerfully said to Ellie,
"It seems like Daddy's not here today either, so how about we go to the amusement park, just the two of us?" "Yay!"
Even though we had just come back from a trip and I thought she might be tired, Ellie, who had been wanting to go to the amusement park but never got to go with her father, was overjoyed. This time, I heard a small gasp from the two hiding. Without paying them any mind, I sat in the driver's seat, put Ellie in the passenger seat, and started driving. The fact that the two were desperately trying to stay quiet while bumping around with the car's movement was too funny. I struggled to hold back my laughter. I made sure they could hear me as I said to Ellie,
By the way, your grandpa and grandma said they'd love to take you out for a fun day soon.
This was true. My in-laws adored Ellie and were always very kind to me, and we had a good relationship.
Should we invite grandpa and grandma too? Grandpa and grandma too. Yay!
In contrast to Ellie's joy, the two in the back must have been panicking. Imagining this was amusing.
Eek!
I heard a faint voice from the back. It stopped quickly, either because the woman stifled it herself or Daniel hurriedly silenced her. Ellie tilted her head in confusion.
Huh? I heard a weird noise. Did you? I didn't hear anything. I'm sure I heard a voice. Maybe a cat got in or something.
I said, pretending, while adding in my mind, a homewrecker cat.
A cat!
Ellie's eyes sparkled as she looked around for the cat, but I calmed her down by saying, it's dangerous. Let's look when we get to Grandpa and Grandma's house. Daniel was probably praying desperately that my in-laws wouldn't accept our invitation. While waiting at a traffic light, I sent a message to my in-laws. Ellie and I are heading to the amusement park. Would you like to join us? My in-laws responded immediately, of course. Thanks for inviting us. Oh, we were just free now. By the time we arrived at my in-laws' house, Ellie had realized there was no cat and quietly got out of the car. My in-laws were evidently excited to see us. Ready and waiting. They gave Daniel and his companion no chance to escape. Even if they had the time, it would have been difficult for two naked people to quickly dress and sneak away. They certainly couldn't flee wrapped in a blanket.
Hello, Mia. Thank you for inviting us. We're so happy to spend time with our granddaughter. Thank you for joining us. It would have been better if Daniel were here, but he's out job hunting.
I said with a hint of sarcasm. My in-laws knew Daniel had been fired and appreciated that I was supporting the family as the breadwinner.
Please, get in,
I said, opening the door and indicating the back seat. My in-laws approached the car but then stopped, noticing the large, strange shapes covered by a blanket.
Mia, what is this?
My mother-in-law asked, her eyes wide. 2 feet were sticking out from under the blanket. It was exactly a case of hiding your head but not your butt.
Well, what could it be?
I said, stifling a laugh.
Who is it?
My father-in-law asked nervously, pulling back the blanket to reveal the 2 naked people.
Whoa! Daniel! Ah! Dad, this isn't what it looks like. No!
My mother-in-law cried out. I pretended to be shocked.
Daniel, what are you doing? This is a misunderstanding, it's...
What could he possibly say to explain this? Ellie, wide-eyed and innocent, asked.
Daddy, weren't you supposed to be out? Why are you playing hide-and-seek in the car? And Arya, too. Ellie!
The woman called Arya said, looking mortified as she covered herself with the blanket. Yes, the woman was Arya, a new teacher at Ellie's daycare.
Arya, how could you do this with one of the children's fathers? Don't you feel ashamed, as a daycare teacher, to do something that could destroy a child's family? What were you thinking?
I said disdainfully. Arya shrank even smaller in response.
No wonder the car's been smelling strange lately. I can't believe it. Have you been doing it in the car all this time? It makes me sick.
The 2 fell silent, confirming my suspicion. I spat out my words.
Did you enjoy doing it in the family car? It's disgusting. Now, put your clothes on. We need to talk.
After they dressed in the car, we went inside the house. Of course, the amusement park trip was cancelled. Not that I had intended to go in the first place, but Ellie was disappointed. I pacified her and put on her favorite Disney princess DVD in another room. I felt bad for deceiving her. For the record, Ellie loves Cinderella and Ariel, but her favorite is Tiana from The Princess and the Frog because she says Tiana is hardworking and amazing. Like me. That made me happy. Anyway, Daniel and Arya sat in front of my in-laws, who were furious and glaring at them.
I didn't expect to find you hiding in the car, but I've known about the affair for a while,
I said, handing over the evidence I got from the private investigator to my in-laws. I had considered telling my parents but hadn't yet. My in-laws, however, were already apologizing profusely.
Mia, we're so sorry. We never imagined Daniel would do such a thing. Betraying such a wonderful wife who supports him even after he lost his job. We failed in raising him. We're truly, truly sorry.
They then turned to Daniel, and with a loud smack, my father-in-law punched him. Daniel fell back with a pathetic groan, while Arya looked on in shock. My father-in-law declared,
I no longer consider you my son. You're disowned. From this day on, you are not to set foot in this house again. No, please forgive me, Dad, Mom.
Daniel pleaded, looking to his mother for support, but she nodded in agreement with her husband.
It was just a fling. Arya is the only one who would do these special things with me. But I'll end it with her. The one I truly love is Mia. Mia, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Daniel begged me, but my mother-in-law slapped him.
Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself.
Arya, hearing Daniel's words, raised her voice in protest.
What? That's not what you said. You promised to divorce your wife and marry me. And you'd pay alimony for both of us. Shut up. Think about our positions. How could I possibly marry the daycare teacher I'm having an affair with? That was just something I said in the moment. You should understand that. What? How dare you?
Arya snapped, and they started to argue. It was an ugly sight.
So Daniel made such promises. You know, Daniel, we always tell Ellie to keep her promises. You should too. Marry her if you want. But I'll be divorcing you and asking for alimony and child support for Ellie. It's going to be tough since you're unemployed and I've been supporting you. Unemployed? I thought you had a decent position in a big company.
Arya's eyes widened in shock.
I did, but I got fired. Because of you. Because of me. You lost your job because you were frequently having an affair with Arya during work hours, didn't you? How did you find out? I called your office and asked. What were you doing during work hours? Well, Arya kept insisting on seeing me, so I had no choice. It's all your own fault. Don't blame others. This is something we always tell Ellie, even as a child. How can an adult like you behave so disgracefully? Daniel clamped his mouth shut and shrank back. No wonder you were so happy to meet often recently. I didn't know you had lost your job. Why didn't you tell me, if you had told me? And if he had told you, what would you have done? I asked Arya with a smile. He's currently unemployed but working hard to find a job. If you still want him, please take good care of him. I know daycare teachers' salaries are low, but please do your best to support him. By the way, I'll inform the daycare about your affair with a parent, so you might lose your job too. But as long as you two love each other, you can overcome any hardship, right? Even if you're both jobless and have to pay alimony and child support, right? Please, no. Don't tell the daycare. I'm really sorry. Arya began to beg, apologizing deeply. I'll break up with Daniel. I'll return him to you. So, please forgive me. No, I don't want such a husband. You take responsibility for your actions. You wanted him so badly, you ruined a family, damaged your reputation, and lost your job. So, he's all yours. No, that's not what I meant. Arya shook her head desperately. Of course. Arya wanted Daniel when he had a decent job and could afford to pay alimony for both of them. She didn't want the jobless Daniel I was supporting. She didn't want to lose everything for a man like that.
She must have thought that.
Please, forgive me. Let's pretend this never happened. If I lose my job, the children who adore me will be sad.
Oh, how conceited can you be? Don't worry, a daycare teacher who has an affair with a child's parent is harmful to the children. Disappearing is better for them.
No. This is all for your own protection, isn't it? If you really cared about the children, you wouldn't have done something that could destroy their family.
Aria's shoulders shook as she started crying, like a victim. I can't pay alimony if I lose my job. She muttered like a child. Does she think crying will get her forgiven? Especially by me, another woman? I hate to add more to your burden, but it's not just the alimony. I'll also be charging you for the damages to the car. You know that premarital property isn't shared, right? Aria looked at Daniel in shock, her face wet with tears. She must have thought that the car belonged to Daniel. I'm sure you thought the car belonged to Daniel. But it's mine from before we got married. Did you know? When you pay for damages, the damaged item becomes yours. So, after you compensate me, the car is yours. I can't keep a car used for such things. Enjoy it as much as you like. My father-in-law forced Daniel to apologize with my mother-in-law.
We'll make sure this fool pays. We're truly sorry.
You don't need to apologize, Dad and Mom. The blame lies entirely with these two. Please continue to let Ellie visit occasionally. Let's go out together properly next time.
Really? Thank you, Mia. Thank you so much.
My mother-in-law broke down in tears.
Please, I'll repent and make amends for the rest of my life. Don't divorce me. I can't live without you and Ellie.
Thank you, but we don't need a father like you.
How will you explain this to Ellie? A child needs their father, right? I can't stand not being able to see her.
As a final act of mercy, I'll allow visitation with Ellie. Though I'm furious that you left her alone to have an affair with her daycare teacher. Daniel's mother, even angrier, exclaimed, Daniel. Did you really do that to Ellie? Yes, he neglected his duties at home and pretended to job hunt while having an affair. Because of that, Ellie ended up doing chores.
How could you do such a thing to her?
She began hitting Daniel repeatedly, crying. If you have any sense of responsibility as a father, then work hard and keep paying child support.
Please don't push me any further. I'm already unemployed and disowned by my parents.
I don't care. Losing your job, getting disowned, having to pay for the car damages, it's all your own fault for giving in to your desires.
You don't have to be so harsh.
And how should I put it? I'm just stating the facts.
Mia, when I lost my job, you said we're family and that families help each other out.
Remember? I did say that. And?
So help me out now. Show me some compassion. We're family.
Wait, do you still think you're part of our family? Daniel looked hurt by my words. You betrayed the family. Someone who betrayed us has no right to be part of this family. With those words, I took Ellie, who had just finished watching her DVD, got in the car, and left my in-laws' house. I'm sorry, Ellie. Are you okay with Daddy not being around? That's fine. Daddy and Aria did something bad, right? Despite my concerns, Ellie said this calmly. Seeing the disgraceful behavior of Daniel and Aria, I wondered how much our young daughter, who thought they were playing hide-and-seek, actually understood about what they had done. She may have seen their disgraceful behavior or overheard our loud conversation and lost her affection for a father who left her alone. Besides, I liked the DVD, but I still want to go to the amusement park. To her, going to the amusement park was more important than her father's absence. Okay, let's go together, just you and me. Her face lit up. Yeah. I want to go to Disneyland. She had been influenced by the Disney Princess DVD. Sure, let's go to Disney. Yay! We headed to Disneyland and, although we couldn't stay long, we had a great time. That was the last memory with that car. Afterward, I received alimony and compensation for the car in a lump sum. In exchange for disowning Daniel, my in-laws arranged for him to work at a tough, understaffed factory run by an acquaintance. This was to ensure he could pay the alimony and child support and not shirk his responsibilities. Daniel, now burdened with debt for alimony and child support, exhausted from the unfamiliar factory work, and constantly reprimanded for his mistakes, worked desperately. Each visitation, it was evident how much he had deteriorated. Still, every time he sees Ellie, he looks happy. The monthly visitations are the only joy in Daniel's life now. He asked for reconciliation many times, but I silenced him by threatening to stop the visitations if he kept asking. In the end, Daniel and Arya blamed each other for their situation and had a huge fight, leading to their breakup. Arya was fired from the daycare as soon as I reported the affair with evidence. This news spread among the parents. According to rumors, Arya went crying to her parents, but after learning the truth, they disowned her too. Now, she's working at a nightclub to pay off the debt she incurred for the alimony. Honestly, I think a nightclub suits her better than being a daycare teacher. The daycare director apologized multiple times for not noticing the affair and failing to prevent it, but I decided to transfer Ellie to another daycare. I felt bad for Ellie having to say goodbye to her friends, but I didn't want her to suffer because of the rumors. Luckily, Ellie made new friends at the new daycare and is doing well. After divorcing Daniel, Ellie and I moved back to my parents' house. When my parents found out I had been struggling with Daniel's affair, they were angry and said, "Why didn't you consult us sooner?" They also said, "Divorcing that man was the right decision." Now, even without that father, we aren't struggling at all. Occasionally, my parents suggest I remarry, but hearing stories about men who target single mothers puts me off the idea. Since I've always been the breadwinner and have my parents' support, I can raise Ellie without any problems. Ellie cheers me on, saying, "Mom, you're like Tiana because you work hard and you're awesome." That alone gives me the strength to handle anything.